You should believe the moon landing was real because there's evidence that proves it to be real. It would have been nearly impossible to film it in the 60s, and it dishonors all the NASA's employees that worked on the project back then. Did you know that Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong's footprints are still on the moon today? I've always been interested in the moon landing, and I've completed research on it and why you should believe it to be real. Today I will discuss the evidence that proves it to be real, how faking it would have been nearly impossible, and why it would have made no sense to spend all that money on the Apollo program and then just fake the moon landing. There's plenty of evidence, but today I will only discuss a few. According to Scott Davis, a science interpreter at the National Space Center, you can see Apollo 11's landing site and the astronauts' footprints on the moon thanks to NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. We have actual moon rocks on Earth that can be only formed in space. These rocks, called glass spherules, can only be formed in two ways: by explosive volcanic activity or a high-speed meteorite impact that melts the rock into glass. On Earth, the elements would break down any volcanically made glass, so it had to come from the moon, because they brought it back on the Apollo 11 mission. There's pictures of the moon's terrain taken by the Apollo 15 crew that match perfectly, almost perfectly, with pictures taken by a Japanese lunar orbiter called Selene. So it couldn't have been shot in a studio, or else it wouldn't have matched up so accurately. It would have been impossible to film it in the 60s because we didn't have the technology in the 60s to film it. In order to recreate the solar lighting produced by the sun, we would have needed millions of bright lasers on set, which weren't cheap, and the only lasers available back then were red, according to popular mechanics. If NASA did manage to film it, they would have had to keep 400,000 plus employees quiet, and they can't pay all of them. Why would the USA spend so much money on the space race if we were just going to fake the moon landing anyway? According to Asif Siddiqui, a noted space historian from Fordham University, the USA spent about $25 billion on the Apollo program, which is close to $100 billion today. And the Soviet Union spent close to $10 billion on their manned missions in the space race. Today I have informed you of the evidence that proves it to be real, how it would have been nearly impossible to film it, and how it makes no sense to spend all that money on the program just to fake it. I hope that your views of the moon landing have changed after taking my points into consideration, that is if you thought it was faked.